Today, I'm going to walk you through everything that I did to grow from zero to making $200,000 in the last 12 months on social media and how you can do the same. I'm going to walk you through all three flows that I've got set up here, exactly the path I went, what my funnel looks like right now, and how you can do this really simple in just a couple steps. I started out content just like everybody else. I was not born an amazing content creator. I didn't go to school for video or anything like that. I started out with about 600 followers on my TikTok account. You can see on that second picture that I'm in my garage gym. I'm absolutely sweating like crazy because I was nervous that my friends that were my roommates at my house were going to hear me making content and recording content if I did it inside. So I always went and recorded outside in the garage, and I was sweating like crazy. That second video you see there, somebody actually commented on saying, you know, blink if you're taken hostage, like blink if you're okay. There were literally tons of comments on that video and future videos always saying, hey, you need to blink, you look stiff, you look like you're trapped. You know, I was horrible at making content at the beginning. And if you're used to seeing my content either on here, over on Instagram or TikTok, you know that the quality has gone up a ton since that and a ton since the other three videos too. You can see here that I was pretty much just using the selfie camera on my iPhone and filming. I've since upgraded to a professional camera. I've got a bunch of lighting and fancy stuff set up, but it all started and I started to make my first $10,000 month using just my iPhone and one main light. So you don't need all of this fancy stuff that you see that I have now. I've just upgraded as I've made more money. I put more money back into the content. You might have posted one video, no videos, or 30 videos. You need to keep in mind that you need to make 30 horrible, sucky videos for you to make viral content. I made over 100 videos before I saw anything real happening with my content and my accounts. The issue is that most people quit at that time period. They do it for a week or 2 weeks or maybe even a month, and they expect to go viral. They expect to see all these amazing results and retire from their job. But you're not treating it like you would any other profession. Like if you're a doctor or a lawyer, or even if you're in sales, you wouldn't expect in your first 30 days to start making $100,000 from your job when you had just started doing it. Once I started to have that mindset and continue to just doing at bat after at bat and improving day after day is when I started to see my results. You can see on the screen here, I've got 12 different videos where I've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. We're to the point now where in the last 12 months, for me and my clients, we've generated over 100 million views with my own personal account between Instagram and TikTok, growing over 280,000 followers and getting over 50 million views in the last 12 months. As I started to gain this traction, I started to get noticed, both by companies that wanted me to do sponsored posts on my account and pay me to do those, and I started to get noticed by both clients that wanted me to run their accounts and help them run their business accounts, and individuals that wanted to learn to do exactly what I was doing. This is when I started to run the Better Legal TikTok account, and I took them from 300 followers to over 60,000 followers. And in the first 14 days, we gained over 13,000 followers with them. And this is when I started to realize that this viral content is actually much more broad content. It's not you getting into the nitty gritty of something. Like I mentioned, the viral content is typically more broad, but within that viral content, you'll have your sub niches. So for me, that's content creation tips and tricks, the creator economy, and building an actual business from your personal brand. But if I dive into the depths about those topics, they're not going to go viral on these platforms. But there is a place for this sub niche content and to dive deeper, because something that I quickly realized as I was making these viral videos is they're great if you want to attract sponsors and do paid deals like that, but they're not great if you want to attract high paying clients for your coaching or consulting business. Because if you're making viral after viral after viral hit, you have to think about that's applying to so many people, so it can't be applying that much to people who are actually on a deeper level who have the money to pay you. The way I like to think about it is consider you and your target audience a level 0 through 10. Let's say I'm a level 7 content creator, but I want to attract levels 3 through 6 for me to coach and consult. Naturally, level 1 content is going to apply to the most creators because most people are just starting out or they haven't started out at all, so they need the very basic tips. And that's why a video goes viral, because there's tons of people at that level. But there's a very, very small percentage of people at that level that are actually willing to pay you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month for your service. So therefore, you need to be making content within these sub niches that actually applies to levels 3 through 6. That's your true target audience. I'm going to dive into this a little bit later in the video. I don't want to get off track. So like I mentioned, I was getting those millions and millions of views, and naturally that was attracting a lot of sponsors. So I started to work with companies like ConvertKit, CapCut, TickPick, GameStop, Amazon, and I really cracked the code on what these viral videos look like. They have a lot of negative hooks in them to make people feel that pain right off the bat. They have a lot of breaking news elements, because if you can get to something first, there's a good chance that you are going to go viral just because you're there first. I found out how to steal like an artist and not try and recreate the wheel every single piece of content that I make. And it got to the point where in the AI, tech, and content niche, I really knew what type of videos were going to work. So if I needed a viral hit and I wanted to get that boost in views for the algorithm, I was able to put out that video and I knew it was going to pop 9 times out of 10. But at this point in time, I was still really only making level 1, 2 content. I didn't know that this was going to hurt me in the long term when it came to actually running a personal brand that I could monetize outside of sponsors. Because if I continued to rely on sponsors, I was going to have to get millions of views and always be the hottest thing in my niche, which is really hard to do over an extended period of time. It's possible for people like MKBHD, Mr. Beast, and some of your other favorite creators, but that's a very small handful of creators, and I didn't want to depend on having to go viral every single time, especially with how some of the algorithms work nowadays, where even if you've grown a huge following on a platform like TikTok and Instagram, they're not even showing your content to your followers as often anymore. But again, I hadn't thought about any of this when I was making this viral content. I was getting lots of views, I was getting paid by sponsors, so I assumed that when it was time for me to launch the course, it would go bananas. I would make tens of thousands of dollars, and I would be looking at quitting my job sooner than I thought. Keep in mind, all of this was happening around the summer and spring of 2023, and I was still working my full-time job at Salesforce. So if you think you can't do this while you have a full-time job, you could not be more wrong. So now I have the idea that I'm getting all these views, I'm getting hundreds of thousands of followers, I'm going to launch a course because I've got something of value that I can bring to people. And this first launch was an absolute flop for me. I sucked at the way I launched this, and it was something that I learned and took with me forever for the rest of my content creation journey. I did almost no promo of this. I did 1 to 2 Instagram stories, and I did a post about it a couple weeks before it was happening, but I assumed because I was getting millions of views, I would just put out the video, it would get tens of thousands of views, I can convert 100 to 200 of those people, and I would make some really good money from just that initial launch, and then people would buy it on autopilot. And this is when I truly found out that views do not equal dollars when it comes to selling your coaching or selling yourself. I had not built out any type of email list so I could nurture the people that were following me and take them from my borrowed audience of social media to my owned audience where I could tell them more about this launch. And all in all, I went about this the wrong way. I priced this at $47 when I knew the value was 100 times more than that, but I was scared to charge more because I had never done something like this. I hadn't yet switched my brain from the thought of, oh, if I just make it a really low price, people will have to buy it because they see it's such a good value, versus thinking, oh, if I price it low, people are naturally going to devalue this because the pricing is so low. I could have just done $250, which I eventually switched the course price to, and I sold more of it at $250 than I did at $47. That product launch completely shifted my approach to everything that I was doing with my content, my email, and my selling. You can see here that I've got a funnel on the screen. The top of it is growth content, and that's like I talked about, that's the viral views. I was only doing the top of funnel content. I wasn't doing anything to nurture or really to sell people. People had been used to getting every single thing from me for free, so now when it came time for me to actually ask them to buy something, they were not ready for it at all. And I had a lot of people that were upset because they had only been here for free content in the past. The middle of funnel content is exactly what I talked about. This applies to level 3 to level 6. This is your target audience, and this is going in depth and deeper on topics that you know are pain points for them. And the bottom of the funnel here is stories, emails, and call to action. This is where we're actually going out and asking people to sign up for a waitlist or letting them know the launch is coming, or even directly asking them to purchase with stories, hand raisers, CTAs, and our emails. You can see that I have on the screen KSS, which is keep it simple, stupid, because you don't need a ton of funnels and a ton of emails and a ton of complicated things. You only need a handful of story hand raisers, a good welcome sequence for your email, and then weekly emails that give out value, along with weekly emails that actually set the expectation of selling. People try and get way too in the weeds here, and if you're making less than $50,000 a month, all you really need is one simple funnel and one main lead magnet. So now that I've had an absolute flop with my course, I know I need to be doing something different. This is around the time I really started to study Tom Noski, who's the picture in the top left, and he had been doing these cohorts where I'd seen he'd made 6 figures from single cohorts. He was on his 7th or 8th time, and I'd watched a lot of his content, really gotten to know, like, and trust him. So I decided to join his cohort to see what a high level one looks like. I got to see the inside, I got to see some of the emails he used and all these different things, so I could start to build out my own version of this for my different offer, because me and Tom do different things. This inspired me to actually go out and start asking people what they wanted to see, what their main pain points were, because I was assuming all of this before, and I was making this viral content that didn't really dig at any of that deeper. One of the ways I did this is by posting daily stories. You can see on the screen that I've got my Instagram stories vault that all of my clients have, and this is going to allow you to give you a bunch of different story templates that you can use and go copy and paste into your business and your offer, so you can start actually nurturing and connecting with the exact people you want to buy your product. I took this same exact approach with email. I started telling people that the launch was coming. I asked them to join a waitlist. I asked them what they wanted to see inside of there. I took polls. I did everything so I made sure I knew exactly what my audience wanted and who they were. What I found is that they valued time with me a lot because they viewed me as an expert in the field. That's where my cohort velocity views came to life. I've got the logo on the left here, and then you can see a little Who is Clark section that I made for my website. I put together the entire website by myself in Framer, built out everything. It was a ton of work, but it turned out super good, and I absolutely loved how it went. So I built out my landing page. I've actually talked to my audience. I'm sending out stories to talk to them even more and emails to let people know this thing is coming because people sleep on emails. A lot of creators think because you've gotten a lot of views, a lot of followers on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever it is, that they don't really need email. But when I started utilizing email for this launch and all my future launches is when I saw the biggest shift in my business. All of that led to a $15,000 month in March just from the cohort alone. This was a long way from me doing my very first product launch that made me less than $1,000 for my very first course. So I've gone from a couple $100s for my first launch to this second launch now, I've done over $15,000. And the results I got from this cohort were absolutely crazy. I helped Andreas go from 5,000 followers to now sitting at over 50,000 followers on his Instagram account, and he's making multiple thousands of dollars per month from sponsored deals. One of my long-term students that had bought my courses in the past, Joanne, aka She Does AI, got into the cohort and she got her first sponsored video of $500. She had been doing sponsored videos in the past for only a couple $100, but she got her first video for $500. She was sitting at around 30,000 followers at this time, and she's now grown to over 400,000 followers just on her Instagram alone. She took what I talked about, she applied it, and then she started to take her own context and her own learnings and started to improve even more and got that huge following just in the last couple months. She's the perfect example of continuing to take action and continuing to improve herself, and now it's all paid off in a huge way. We also had Jacob, who had never put out any type of content before, and in the first 30 days, he did over $3,000 starting from zero. Circling back to Andreas here, who booked over $3,000 in speaking engagements without a website with less than 5,000 followers while he was in the cohort as well. We've got Daniel, who posted his first video and got a booked call from that very first video. And we also had Marquise go from never making any money from his content to over a $500 deal. There's over 50 more of these that I could show you, but I just wanted to pick out a couple to show you in this video to show that when you're actually providing value, people will get the results. All this leads to what my business looks like today. I've got a full value ladder that people go through. I've got a wide net that's cast, and it brings in free people from lead magnets and freebies. I've got my low ticket course that people will purchase and learn how to make their first couple $1,000s online from their personal brand. And then I have my medium and higher ticket offers where I've got my group coaching and my one-on-one inner circle coaching clients. At each phase of this, you should be able to upsell people into the next step. So if people are getting your freebies, you should upsell them in the welcome emails and with your emails to get into the low ticket course. Once they've gone through the low ticket course, you should be following up with them saying, hey, if you've liked the results you've gotten and you want to get them even faster, I've got the group coaching. As people get results from the group coaching, you upsell them to the inner circle to get the highest level of results. Because it's way easier to get somebody to pay you money once they've already done it. Because they can say, oh, I bought Clark's $250 course and I made $1,000 from it. So now if I invest $1,500 with Clark, that means I should make at least $6,000 from it. This will make you the most money in the long term, having a value ladder set up like this. Something I want to point out within this value ladder is a lot of people think that it's way easier to sell 50 courses at $100 per month to make $5,000 than it is to land 2 clients at $2,500 a month. And I can't tell you how far from the truth that is. Now, I have over 280,000 followers, and I will still tell you that it's easier for me to work with a handful of high paying and high value clients than it is to sell a bunch of low ticket courses, because the people that are investing in the high paying program are actually going to go out and get results and be great case studies and be great testimonials. So not only are they better to work with than the exact type of person you want to work with, but it's way easier to actually only land a couple of those a month as opposed to always depending on going viral and trying to get millions of impressions just so you can sell 50 to 100 low ticket courses. You might be asking, how are you going to do this? So initially it will start with views, and you want to get that first viral hit so you can start to get more people into the funnel. But then once you start to get those views, you need to start interacting and engaging with those people to make them turn into actual fans. You can do this with stories, emails, and just in the comment section. Once you've got these fans, you want to build a community for these people to all go to, because if they are true fans of you, they're going to want to spend more time with you and get more value from you. So that's where you have the community, whether it's a course, mid-ticket coaching program, or like I mentioned, the higher inner circle offer where it's only a select few people. I'm helping creators add an extra $5,000 a month by scaling and monetizing their personal brand with a solidified offer and content strategy. If If you want to learn more about that, you can fill out an application below to see if you're a good fit, and then we'll talk more about the next steps. So I've walked you through the journey that I've been through to get here, but I want to now walk you through my funnel and what it looks like today so you can start implementing this. Right now, the backbone of my business is Instagram and ManyChat. That's how I'm getting people to follow me, how I'm getting leads onto my email list, and how I'm starting to nurture and collect more leads. If you've ever seen a video where someone tells you to comment a specific word and they'll send you either a freebie or a paid course link or whatever it is, they're using ManyChat to send that DM automatically. It's the best tool I've used in my business. I've literally added over 13,000 people to my email list just using ManyChat alone. When I'm using Instagram, I'm sending people to my lead magnet. So you can see that I have my Hook Heaters lead magnet here. I've got a story on the bottom left that sends people to my Instagram growth hacks guide that I set up and connected to ManyChat. So when somebody replied to my story with the word guide, they'd get a DM, and they now are going to join my email list if they want to get the freebie. I've got Loom video walkthroughs that I do for some of my lead magnets. And then again, other Notion templates like my prompt power up. This then puts people onto my email list. Once they've joined my email list, they'll get a welcome email basically saying, hey, welcome to the email list. Please move the email over to the primary inbox, and then letting them know what to expect for being on the list. Over that, they're going to get 5 emails over the next 5 days. This is what we call a welcome sequence. The first 3 values are going to be strictly storytelling and hitting on their pain points. It's going to let them know that, hey, you are just a past version of me. I've gone through what you're going through, and now I've got to where I'm at. Then in the 4th and 5th email, this is where you're going to have your first upsell. This could be to a low ticket product, a community, coaching offer, whatever your offer ladder looks like. This is where you're going to upsell that in those 2 emails. So right off the bat, people are going to be expected to see sales stuff from you. You don't want to just give value and value and value for months and months and then just pop up with a product that they can purchase out of nowhere and you don't tease it at all. So right off the bat in the first 5 days, we're going to get people to know, hey, I've got something that you can purchase once you're ready. Some people might unsubscribe from your list because of this, but that's okay, because if they're going to unsubscribe because of these 2 emails, they're probably never going to purchase something from you in the first place. Once this welcome sequence is over, what we're going to continue to do is send 1 to 2 value emails per week. So I typically like to do a value email and a more sales email, at least 2 every single week in total. If it's a sales email, we're going to push people to the landing page. This is where I have a type form embedded so people can fill it out and I can get to know more about them. What type of budget do they have? What are they? Are they a content creator, entrepreneur, coach? What's their main social platform? Have they posted any type of content in the past? All of that's put into the type form so I can know, hey, is this person a high value lead or do they still just need a little bit of a push right now for maybe my lower ticket product? If they are a right fit based off their answers, they will get a link where they can go book a call on my calendar with me and we could talk about what it looks like to go through my group or one-on-one coaching program. The simple funnel you see of Instagram to ManyChat to getting on my email list and eventually booking a call with me, it's not super complicated. It's all very straightforward. And this is how I'm able to consistently book calls every single day for my coaching program to get people inside, start giving them value and working together. Something that's really slept on right now on Instagram especially is stories and hand raisers. You can see 2 examples I've got here. Like I mentioned, every single one of my students has the Instagram stories vault where they've got these and about 50 other examples of stories that you can use to nurture people, to directly call them out and ask for a purchasing decision, all these different things in there. But stories is extremely slept on for Instagram right now. So I know I've gone through a ton right now and your head is probably spinning. So I want to give you just a high level breakdown to leave you with before you go. Number 1, we're going to pick a platform. I pick Instagram and TikTok. Don't stray from these platforms until you've really started to get some momentum and you've really started making money. Because if you try and do all 5 platforms at once, you're going to fail, I promise you. If you don't want to be on camera and you want to do writing, do LinkedIn or Twitter. That's okay. Those work as well. But I like Instagram because of how powerful getting on video is, plus all the automation and messaging systems you can set up with it. Number 2 is sharpen a skill that you already have right now. This might be copywriting, video editing, or building out funnels for other people. 3rd is develop your personal brand style. So go and find creators in your niche or just creators you like in general and start taking little pieces from each one of them. I've got 4 right here of Tom Noski, Ben Kaluza, Dakota Robinson, and Dan Coe that inspire me as someone who's teaching people how to grow and monetize their personal brand. This is what I'm talking about when I say you need to steal like an artist. You need to take a little piece from Tom, a little piece from Ben, from Dakota, and Dan, and now you'll have your own unique identity because it's a combination of different things you've seen. Once you've started making content, now you want to make money from it. This is where you start to create your lead magnets and your freebies so you can see what people are struggling with in your niche and start to have these conversations. This is going to act as your target market and your product research because you'll be able to see, hey, what lead magnet are people liking the most? Hey, what are they voting for on in the polls? What are people telling me in the DMs they're struggling with the most? Once you've got that money making idea down, you're now going to promote it. You're going to put it on your Instagram stories, your emails, your hand raisers, all the things that I've talked about throughout this entire video is what you're going to do once you've got the product in place. A little secret here, it doesn't even need to be completely done for you to start promoting it. You can have an MVP that you're building out of your product and say, hey, it's coming in 2 weeks. It might only be 50% done on the back end, but as long as you have it done by the launch date, that's okay, because no one's going to buy while you're hyping it up. Every single smart creator is doing that, by the way. Nobody's building out their thing 100% and then just starting talking about it. They're talking about it as they're building. I just walked you through a ton of stuff. And like I've mentioned, this is exactly what I'm helping people do right now. I'm helping people scale and monetize their personal brand with content to add an extra $5,000 a month to their business. If you're interested in that, I've opened a limited 5 spots for the coaching program that you can apply for by clicking the first link in the description, filling out the form, and then we'll talk more about what it looks like to work together. I appreciate everyone sticking through for this video. If you found this valuable, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button.